Hello, beautiful ones. Welcome, welcome. Rosanna here, Rosy Glow, with the #1 remedy for those of us who are awakening or awakened and are experiencing, well, a lot of anxiety, stress, fear, terror, all the stuff that's getting triggered in the world around us. So if you know that you are beyond the narrative that's currently playing out, but you are constantly being dropped into states that ultimately are not the vibration you want to hold, this video for you. So please bear with me, because I'm going to be going through some top tips to help you see how you can be most effective and actually what's really going on here. Because as we move through the third dimensional reality of being the programmed ego self, the fear-based reality that we're all becoming more and more aware of, welcome those who are joining, we move through the fourth dimension, which is a very confusing place. It's a mental body space, an emotional body place. There's loads of triggers, and ultimately it's one of those places where we just don't know what's real and what isn't real, because we're realizing that everything is coexisting at the same time, and what we focus on grows. When we move beyond the illusions and delusions of the fourth dimension, we move into our full capacity to co-create our reality as conscious divine human beings. And this is what I teach people to do, okay, is how to apply bringing their mind or their brain to work with their heart rather than antagonizing their heart, their soul truth, and how to be able to navigate being in a different vibrational state to those around us, and to make the right choices for us, the choices that are going to help to uplift us, the choices that are going to help us to hold our vibration higher, knowing that as we do that, we are also supporting those who are in ascension themselves, those who are awakening, to be able to raise their vibration, because there's a game at play, and I will explain it as we go through. Okay, so please just take a moment to arrive. Whenever you watch this, it's the right time. Okay, so we are learning to be heart-centered beings, to co-create with the win-win-win in everything in the highest good of all. And when we are ready and willing to act from that place, that's when we can really access our fifth dimensional consciousness and be super powerful super beings here on earth. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Do a quick little cacao blessing. There's a few resources I'm going to share with you that really help both in mindset shifting and also just to help you reinforce the messages I'm giving you today, because I'm just a channel, I'm a transmitter. I am absorbing information as I've processed my own shadow, if you like, and moved into a higher state of awareness, and I share that with you to help you on your journey. There are loads of other amazing teachers filling different pieces of the puzzle up, and loads of books that have been written. So we're going to look at those as we go on, but for now, let's just take a little moment to connect. So if you've got cacao, you can bring your cacao up to your heart. If you haven't, you can bring your hands to your heart. We'll just take a moment to take a few deep breaths and come into a space of appreciation. Take a lovely deep breath, appreciating that we're here now. We can open our hearts to compassion for ourselves and the world, to realize that what we care about is important. It's just how can we be most effective, most efficient in our intention, both in raising our own vibration and that of the collective. And from this place, inviting the mind to become the witness, the scribe of our experiences, to honor the heart, and therefore to take the inspired action as we activate our higher self-consciousness that will support grace and ease in our ascension. So Mama Cacao, we invite you in. I ask that I'm a pure channel. I can see there's a fear of speaking truth in my throat, but I'm going to release that now with love. Help each of us to reconnect to the power of joy, of love, remembering that everything is exactly as it's meant to be right now, as terrible as it looks to some. And as we drop out of the drama into that deep space of love and trust, our instructions are given to us, our highest self instructions, our soul purpose instructions are given to us, and we can hear them clearly. So it is, and so it shall be. And just to activate connection with the earth chakra and the crystalline grid, we'll vibrate the sound Ma into the earth. Then to connect us to our soul consciousness, divine mind, we'll send the sound Om into the universe, our soul chakras. And from our hearts, we'll send the sound An out to connect to each other in the most pure and effective higher heart space. Deep breath in. Feel that peace and space, and just with your nose draw a circle in the air in front of you to activate your sphere of compassion. Draw your nose up and down, connect to Source and Gaia. And then let's invite our star family, our guides and teachers, our soul families, our angels, archangels, the elementals, all the beings with the purest vibrations of love and light that support us in our efforts here to activate ascension on planet Earth and in our universe, to come in and support our own shifts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let that smile in your heart be beaming and spread it out into your energy field. Gently open your eyes. Welcome back. Okay, so let me be succinct and brief. Right, so where am I at? Now, here we are, well-meaning, good individuals. Can I just check if someone is watching? Can you just let me know that you can hear me okay? Because I've got a new mic. So if you can hear me, please just put a yes. That would be great. What is really, really helpful is to understand that at the moment in this time of Great Awakening, we're all very, very well aware of the mainstream narrative. And I think most of us are aware of the fact that at the moment, or you might not be aware of it, when someone speaks out against the mainstream narrative, they are being censored, shut down, ridiculed, in some way, shape or form, not allowed to have an opposing thought feeling. And we could say that that's because, things are really, really serious and we can't possibly entertain any other truths than what's currently going on, but we know that's not strictly true. Okay, so welcome those who are joining. Please say you can hear me so that I don't have to start this video again. So in the alternate narrative scene, the mainstream narrative is the third dimension. In the alternate narrative scene, you have lots of people speaking out, being silenced, as I said, they're not even being questioned. Ridiculed is the word I'm using, but they're basically being discredited. Okay, anyone who seems to be speaking out is getting discredited. And this is the fourth dimension because people are speaking out about lots of different things. It's not like they're saying exactly the same thing. There's lots of different takes on what's going on. Great, excellent. Thank you, Anne. Good to see you. So what ends up happening is we go from a state of fear, right, to then a state of confusion, because who's telling us the truth? How do we know what's going on? And I just want to go through a little bit what tends to happen as we go through a process of awakening. Usually there's denial that something is different to how it currently is, or how we currently perceive it. And from the denial, we start to get curious when people suggest things that maybe we initially reject and say that's not true, but the seed is planted. When you think about how you started to have an alternate view to the one you currently have, someone planted a seed, right? Maybe didn't grow straight away, but that sort of inquiry started to then get you thinking in a different way and starting to see things in different ways. And we go through a process of confusion because we're like, well, what is true and what isn't true? And there's a bit of an existential crisis going on because our self-identity has been tied up with the beliefs that we have inherited, that we have taken on, that we basically believe are the fabric of reality. And the scariest thing for a lot of people today is the idea that reality isn't as clear cut as we thought it was. It's much more subjective and it's based on our perception of what's going on, how we experience what's going on around us. And this is part of our evolution in soul consciousness. So from confusion, we can then get into more fear, right? And in that confused and fearful state, we're really in a place where we want to let other people know quickly that things are not the way that they think they are, and we must do something about it because we're in fear. We're projecting fear, okay? And from there, there's also the anger that things are not the way we were told, that actually maybe something scarier is going on than we've been told it is, or that actually there's, a worse story in operation. And it's that anger and all the other stages that we go through that allow us to then, if we know how to do this, move up and out into passion for change. So we take all of this dense stuff, which is the lower fourth dimension, and we want it to inspire us. But many of us that are awakening get stuck in the battle. Okay, we get stuck in the place of anger, we get stuck in the place of fear. We've just switched one set of fears for another. And then what we do is we constantly energize those fears by talking about them and what's going to happen if this happens and what's going to happen if that happens. And we're energizing an alternate reality, an alternate narrative that isn't even one we want. So it's so important you know this and you catch it in the bud, okay, or nip it in the bud. So the way that I work with my clients is firstly to get very, very clear. What is their intention? What do they want, right? And then what's in their control? What's in their conscious control? That's the next step. The next thing is, in order to make decisions that are higher self decisions rather than survival based decisions, we need to activate our higher consciousness, our higher self, our superconscious, right? Otherwise, we're trying to affect change from a place of fear, from our conditioned self. That doesn't help, it just creates more. Then we need to see where we are out of alignment with the things that we say we want. So what are our blind spots? What do we talk passionately about? Are there things we want or things we don't want? Because this is where you'll see you are on your journey of awakening, okay? And from there, we can then, the subconscious clearing up is essential, right? Because we'll see, you set your intention and then all the fearful stuff, all the stuff that's in resistance, the judgments, all come up and they need to be loved up, because your higher self is not judgmental. Your higher self is compassionate. Your higher self is the you that can turn the other cheek, that can practice discernment, that can choose what to feed into your field and what not to. But many of us get stuck, as I said, in this fourth dimensional illusional space, and we think we're doing good because we're fighting for change. And, you know, we do need to put pressure on the system to shift. But if we're coming from a place that is unhealed and wounded, we are just going to create more of that. So this video is about nipping that in the bud, seeing what you can actually do and what is available to you to be able to do that. So it's all about mindset shifting on the one hand, because that is in your conscious control. It's then about doing the work where you clear up your subconscious, which my new moon meditations and full moon meditations are about, that loving up the shadow, right? By bringing in your higher self. And they're all here on YouTube. And then you then have, okay, from that place of having loved up my subconscious resistance, I can now take inspired action. So we want to take the confusion, the fear, the anger, the frustration, what's going on. I have to look here where I've got the and the confusion and turn it into passion for change. Okay, and if you do that, then what you're doing is you are being inspired to act in alignment with highest good outcomes. But there's something even more important than that. And it's to be very, very aware of your vibration. Okay, because it actually doesn't matter what narrative you are subscribing to. If your vibration is one of fear, ultimately, anger, ultimately, confusion, ultimately, terror, ultimately, then remember that our field doesn't really know the story behind it. It just knows what is the energy that is being produced. And that's what we really need to become masters at if we want to transmute and transcend the war. Okay, because we're all in war and all in duality while we're going, I'm right, you're wrong. There are ways that we can meet people where they are at. And I know for a lot of people, the pain that's coming up now is that those who are awakening, those who are seeing things in a different light, are surrounded by those who are in denial. Worse still, not just denial, but projecting their unhealed pain and their fear onto those who are awakening and basically telling them they're crazy, right? This is painful for us all. But ultimately, we're watching people around us make decisions that we feel will be harmful to them, right? And, you know, you want to look up at some point, remember the power of placebo and nocebo as well, okay? So the power of the mind, Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza have said so much about over time, right? And ultimately, what you want to take with this is that if someone believes something is going to do them good, even if the ingredients within it are potentially very harmful, that belief that it will do them good is actually the placebo effect that will allow them, or I think it's nocebo, sorry, I might be getting confused with that. It will allow them to feel safer, and therefore they'll be more relaxed. Now, this is the crazy thing, right? It's how does your vibration change as a result of the decisions you make? That's what we want to be looking at. So one thing that will help everybody out of a state of panic, terror, and all the challenging things that come with awakening is to stop making everyone else do what you want. You know, you are the example. Your work is to love up your shadow as you see what's going on around. And I get it. Loads and loads of people are like, seriously, if we don't do something, we're up shit creek. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. But if you do it from a place of fear, panic, terror, you're not actually going to be effective the way that you want to. So when I say people at different stages of awakening, some of us are emotional empaths, okay? For us to go into the battlefield, if you like, for us to go into the fray is very, very dangerous. Whereas for someone who has a more polemic nature, they like a fight, they tend to be more, they'd be the people that would tend to like to have an argument, right? This kind of energy can be useful if it is transmuted to a higher frequency before going out into the field. You can turn that anger into passion for change. But if you are in fear, going somewhere where you want to affect change when you're in fear isn't going to help, right? So what we have to look at is the type of person we are and the best way that we can serve the collective ascension. Some of us are the warriors that will do the groundwork. Some of us are the love light holders that hold the vibration to feed the warriors, the rainbow warriors that are going out there. And what is really important is for you just to be honest about where you're at. There is a huge difference between what you think you should do and actually what is going to be helpful in maintaining the highest vibration you can, so that you can actually meet people, you can help raise the vibration and meet the situation where it's at. So a simple example is a march, you know, going on peace marches, going on protest marches, etc. As difficult as it seems to be these days, people are still going. But the point is, if you're going and you're scared of going, if you're worried that things are going to kick off, if you're scared that, you know, you're going to be on your own and bad things will happen and you're in that space where you're imagining things like that, don't go. Stay home and meditate. Send energy to the tribe that are going. The people that are going, again, if you're going and you're motivated by anger, be very careful. If you haven't channeled that anger, if you haven't transmuted it into love, if you haven't remembered why you're angry and why you're really going, which is to say, I'm not having this in my life, in my name. It's not occurring on whatever level. If you cannot hold that grounded vibration, don't go, because you're the ones fanning the fire that then create more of a situation that is antagonistic. Now I'm a bit, you know, it's easy for me to be triggered. So for me to go, I have to be very grounded. I have to meditate and have people around me that can hold that grounded energy, because I know how easily I can be riled, right? So you have to know where you're at and ultimately how you're going to best serve. And that's not the same every time. You've got to feel the energy that's around. When people are at different stages of awakening, that means that we have to have compassion for where they are, because we were there once. Okay, and I've got a little thing I'll take you through in a moment with that. And one thing to remember, so that we have compassion for ourselves, is that we're all here this time round because we remember the fall of Atlantis, the fall of Lemuria. We remember that there was a time where we could see danger coming and we wanted to warn as many people as we could. But in the end, it didn't stop the downfall. Right, so there's that sense of this happening again. And I would like all of you who are here now, who feel so passionately about the shift that's going on and the ascension that's going on, to remember that we're not here this time to fail again. We're here this time to triumph. We're here to see the shift happening. Each of us has our own unique part to play. But very often we drain ourselves by playing a whole load of other parts that aren't for us. So if you are awakening, but you're in a constant state of fear, panic, worry, anxiety, etc., the most important thing you can do is not feed your mind with more reasons to be fearful, terrified, exhausted, all the rest of it, but actually to unplug from everything and to use the tools that you have, and I'll talk to you about some of them, to raise your vibration so that you can then get your instructions about what the next bit is for you. Because as you awaken, you become more robust. But at that early phase, when you're a fledgling or a new little chick, you're very vulnerable. We all are. So we need to develop a thick 5D skin, which is a glow, basically. Yeah, it's an energetic glow of having so much light in our bodies that ultimately we can withstand all of it. It's okay. We're not even fearful of dying because ultimately we know we don't die. There's where Christ was, right? That's where the ascended masters were. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever needs to happen, I'll be in my truth. So remembering that in the past, there are triggers that are triggering us today, because we know that the road that we're going down now, if we actually just go along with it, for those of us who are in this state of having looked at so much of it and seeing what's at play and how long it's been at play, it's not just the last 100, 200 years. This is thousands of years of an oppressive state where this whole planet has been basically a slave planet for a long, long time. And we're now coming out of that. We're liberating ourselves. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to happen, though. It's happening as we speak. But as we watch it, we can really get caught up and as I said, just lose the vibrational piece. So when I talk about vibration, and I talk about, again, the mind will kick in and go, well, things are serious. Things are really serious. If we don't do something, we're all basically walking off a cliff to our true and certain death, right? And it's like, yeah, so your survival mechanisms are kicking in with that, because that's a reminder of the past. But are we wiring ourselves to survive at this point, or are we upping the game to thrive? Because if we want to be living in a thrive paradigm, then we can't operate from our survival instincts. We know they're there for a reason. We know the situation is serious. But what we don't know is what's happening behind the scenes. That if we just energize the highest vibration we can, then we help all the stuff that happens behind the scenes to occur. And we are not the only person or the only group responsible for saving the world, because we're here to raise the frequency of the planet by raising our own frequency. So that is the most important thing you can do. If you want to be, looking after the greater good and the highest good, look after your vibration. Absolutely key. So we want to put our soul in control, okay? Otherwise, the frightened self is leading the way. And if the frightened self is leading the way, you're only ever creating the future from the past. And if you're creating the future from the past, what's happening with that is basically you're creating more of the same, more duality, more battle. You've seen it, the fight against cancer, the fight against this, the fight against that. Well, we're fighting all the time. Okay, so what are we going to do? Why don't we just feed what we want to energize, right? Rather than fight. Yes, there is a place that we have to stand strong and we have to resist. And if you considered martial arts, you know that in the self-defense, we can kill, right? And I'm not saying go out there and kill people, please just bear that in mind. But in us defending ourselves, we're incredibly powerful. We take an opposing force, we turn it around, and we become the love light that brings the salvation that is needed for this planet. Okay, this second coming is in all of us. And what we're all here to learn to do, so in your 5D consciousness, you are learning to be an alchemist, to turn water into wine, to turn base metal into gold. And how do you do that? Well, this is what I'm going to go through now. You have to raise your vibration, right? So in my world, in Rosy Glow is the frequency of divine grace. It allows us to let go easily of what no longer serves us through the power of revelation, through the power of having an epiphany, an awakening that allows you to see something differently and therefore to liberate yourself from the shackles of what you think you should be doing in order to help the cause, and actually to do what you most need to do inside of you to be able to have a shift in your world that will allow you to see a shift in the bigger world. Because the microcosm, me, is a reflection of the macrocosm, right? And this is why the alpha and the omega, I'm going to talk about star peace in a minute, but you and the sort of widest view are one. You work on you, and when I say work on you, release the need to fight, to fear, to struggle, to be in that state that makes people know you're serious about this. You move into a state of grace where you flow the purest vibrations you can through your being to this earth. You'll start to see all sorts of pleasant surprises, all sorts of things that were terribly threatening, no longer being threatening. Because as you shift in you, your vibration shifts and moves out. And as a result, also you help those who are out to reach us, because we're each acupuncture needles feeding a vibration into this earth body. We're either clearing it or we're blocking it. So what do you want to be? What do you want to do? The same way that they say there's always two wolves fighting in your head, the good and the bad, or the, you know, the light and the dark, and, you know, which one's going to win? It's the one that you feed the most, the one you energize. So we want to energize the higher self so that the higher self can love up the shadow. How? Right. So this is where I want you to know about the resources that are available to you. Very, very recently, I co-created something called the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, which is a digital product available on rosieglow.com. It's a series of meditations. It's a 7-day meditation detox, okay? And all it is a series of co-creation meditations to allow you to unplug from everything that is disturbing you, right? To get into alignment in your own vibration, to turn negatives to positives, to be able to see beyond your current perception to a place where you can hold a higher vibration, turning terror into trust, living fearlessly during fear triggering times, turning 5G into 5D, the infinite love virus. Like, you know, these are all co-creation meditations. The rainbow flame on its own, in itself, what I've seen in that, in its capacity to process toxins and repair DNA. So if you are worried about your loved ones, if they're having an adverse reaction to something that they have chosen to take for their own protection, then you can give them this, and you can say, right, do this meditation and this and this. Just put them on while you're in bed feeling like crap or whatever. And it's going to help you, 1, to clear the toxins, like to clear the vibration of toxicity, 2, to repair your DNA. It came through a couple of years ago, and I've been working with it for the last couple of years. Those who've tried it have said they felt instantly better, whatever was going on. So whether you're ill, whether you have had an adverse reaction, whether you're really in a terrible place mentally, like you're feeling really sort of disturbed, it works. You use the energy field, rainbow flame energy field detox, along with the integration meditation. It's all laid out in this very simple 7-day program. Okay. And I would like everybody to have access to this, because some people are scared about being around people who've had the you know what. Other people are scared about being around people who haven't had it. You know, some people are terrified to take the things off their faces. Others are like scared about being in the world again. A lot of people are like, oh my goodness, for so long I've been able to just hide away and not have to deal with things that I didn't want to deal with, not have to deal with people that lower my vibration. And now we're having to face it all, right? So this is your chance now to be able to strengthen yourself, to be a higher vibration, and to be able to meet people where they're at and still be a force for change, rather than feeling like you have to avoid everyone. And, you know, some people will be very toxic to your energy as you are awakening. So don't put your hand in the fire again and again and expect it to not hurt. Stay away. You don't need to be in judgment. The stronger you get, the more you integrate your new frequencies, the easier it's going to be for you to be around those who are of a lower vibration and be in compassion for them. Okay. And this doesn't mean you spend ages with them just to prove a point. Like, if people are choosing to stay stuck for whatever reason and they're in the place where they're in denial, that's just a process that takes however long it takes. Bless them. They know not what they do. They're not going to shift it until they shift it. So give them the space to shift it. You don't need to be with them in that space. Make sense? And we all notice that people either gravitate towards us or away from us, depending on our vibration. You don't need to tell them. All right. With time, it comes about. That awareness comes. It's part of our soul's journey. So the Cosmic Cleanup Crew as a medicine, if you like, is for everybody. There's no like judgment, what you have and you haven't done, what you do or you don't believe. It's just there to raise the frequency for everyone, because here's the trick. Whoever they are, let's just say that the narrative, the mainstream narrative, is really nefarious, and there really is an agenda that is based on world domination, on being able to control humanity, and to make it do what we want. You know, we've got books like 1984, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It's not like there's anything new here. It's being put out there, right? And people who are questioning are being silenced presently. That is happening. So we have to ask why. Is it just fear that's pushing it down? Maybe. But whoever they are, those that seek to control, to dominate in order to feel safe, those who say, no, you have to trust us. We need to control this for you because you don't know how to do it. You cannot be left to your own devices because you can't be trusted, because you don't know enough, or you're not this enough, or you're not that enough. If that's the truth, who's the cause of that? Because we have education systems, we have welfare systems, we have, health institutes, we have all sorts of systems. So why is it therefore that we still need to give our power away to others? Why aren't we being empowered to help ourselves? Very important for those who are in the denial phase. Why do we need something all the time outside of us to save us? It's the way it's been set up for a very, very long time. So whoever they are, what do they feed off? They don't feed off love. They feed off fear. That's why what I said at the start of this video is really important. It doesn't actually matter what narrative you're buying into. If your overall vibration is fearful, terror, anxiety, stress, whatever, then you are still in a lower vibration. It doesn't matter what you're buying into, what you're energizing, what you're focused on. So raising your vibration is the one way, the fastest way. This is the secret that allows us to transmute and transcend the war. Okay? Notice the words I am saying. Words are powerful. They're spells. And I've got a few books here I'm going to recommend to you in a second. So the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, available on rosieglow.com, is your first step to being able to raise your frequency out of whichever narrative you're in into a place where you are sovereign in your energy. Okay? The next thing is to look at, is it your mind that's always holding you back? If it's your mind that's always holding you back and you're a prisoner to your previous beliefs, then liberation from limitation is your next step, because liberation from limitation is how to use your conscious mind to work for you. You might not be up for some deep diving subconscious clearing just yet, but how to use the power of your mind to work for you rather than against you is liberation from limitation. And then the Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me journey is for those who are ready to do the deep dive, to get their subconscious to align with their conscious will, and therefore to be the most effective force for change. And if you're ready to be a leader, to be a visionary, to be someone who people will really trust, feel you on a heart level, and you're ready to be a story changer, right? A game maker, not just a game changer, but a new game maker, then that's the Superconscious Co-Creating Method. And that's what I do one-to-one. Now, all of this you can access by joining my free mailing list, rosieglow.com. You go on the homepage, lovely new homepage. There is something there called the Star Salutation Prosperity Practice, and it's free. Okay, I want you to have it because it's going to help you to align with prosperity consciousness. It's going to activate your light body. The practices in there, which will help you to bring more of your soul light into your being so you can be more effective. And when you sign up to that, you'll then get a series of emails that will ask you what you're interested in. The one that's not in there at the moment is the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, which I'll put a link to underneath here, but I will still want you to join my tribe, because then I'll be able to give you stuff that's going to really, really help you to keep fine-tuning your vibration. Okay, very, very powerful. So join the mailing list, rosieglow.com. Okay, look up the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, and if you check out the text box below and you look at the print that I've written, there will be a half price offer for the Cosmic Cleanup Crew. I want you to have it. I want you to share it with others. I want people to subscribe to this frequency all around the world, whatever you believe in, whatever you choose to do or don't do to safeguard your health, however you think the answer to our world problems are, raise your frequency, okay? Because then we can all unite. And this brings me to Star Peace. Now, we know about the trilogies that are Star Wars, right? Star Peace is essential for us to align with. I've done other videos on this and you can check them out to find out more. But for everything you don't want in this world, for everything that triggers a negative emotion that lowers your vibration, you can use the power of your mind to springboard to its opposite. So if you're in fear, suddenly something triggers fear. What's the opposite of fear? Trust, strength, empowerment. Like, it's up to you what the word is, but what's the opposite of anger? What's the opposite of anxiety? Excitement. So you start to flip your consciousness, right, towards what you want, and you take narratives that you see that disturb you, that upset you, whether it's a headline in a newspaper or something someone said, and you rewrite it as you want it to be. That's how you cultivate Star Peace. Most people that I'm seeing in the world talking about the state of the world at the moment are not focusing on solutions. They are just broadcasting the problem. And that's my problem with this. And it's why I'm making this video, because we cannot keep focused on the problem. What you focus on grows. So if you are watching this, you are being called as a heart-centered, higher self, ascended master in training to start rewriting the narratives in your life. Okay, everything I've shared with you, Cosmic Cleanup Crew, particularly Liberation from Limitation, that gets you to rewrite the narrative. That's another digital product. There's some coaching involved if you want it. But then Fearless and Super Conscious are where we really go deep into discovering the subconscious resistance and clearing the blind spots. And everybody I know has been prospering through challenging times as a result of taking these methods on board and working with them. Okay, so it's very important. Now, I'm going to wrap up in a moment, but I just want you to hear this. So this will help you. And it came from, these are not my words. I'll try and find the author and let you know. But essentially, a way to be able to deal with those who are not in the frequency that you are, right, is to remember this. 1, always speak from a place of love. 2, meet people where they're at. And if you can't, just don't meet them, right? 3, communicate within their own worldview. If you just bring in a completely whole new one because you've just opened up to it, they're not going to get it, okay? You don't get it when you're just opening up. Ask questions to get people thinking rationally. Best thing in the world, rather than actually just putting your opinion onto people. Practice compassion for yourself and others. People don't know what they don't know. Remember that. And they might not want to hear it, okay? That's all right. Free will, all right? You cannot save others. They have to save themselves. Accept that we're all on our own journey. Surrender the need to convert and persuade. That's tough. Know that you are not responsible for other people's choices. That's really important, and it's tough as, right? Don't go where you don't belong, okay? Rein your neck in, pull your beak in. Where we are stronger together, even with polar opposite views. So where can we have common ground? Where can we see there is common ground? Like, look for that. At the end, don't we all want to feel safe and happy? We might have different ideas about how we're going to get there, but if we can be willing to hear different points of view, we will get there. Keep faith that this too shall pass. And in the world of books, just to give you something, this is my favorite book for awakening starseeds, ET 101. It's brilliant. It's just short, sweet, easy. It will keep you laughing and raise your frequency, because we all need to raise our frequency as high as we can to joy, ideally. I also want to big up my lovely friend Tara Love Perry and her book, I Love You Me. Like, when you really focus on self-love, your vibration shifts. You realize where you're in unforgiveness of your own being. And if you're in unforgiveness of your own being, you're in unforgiveness of the world. You stay in duality. Again, really great book, available on Amazon. And I'll put the link to her Self-Love Club, because often we want to be in a relationship, but we don't have a positive relationship with ourselves. So this book by Dr. Bruce Lipton is like the foundation of all the work that I teach with my couples, with my individual coaching clients and my group coaching clients. I've been working a lot with couples recently to raise their vibration to sacred union vibration. So you can get in touch about that. And this here is another lovely friend of mine, Jen McCarthy's book. And I just want to read you a page from this book, because this tells you everything, and it just reminds you of how powerful we are and just how to utilize that power effectively, because we are like learning to utilize this power, and it's, you know, it's a lot. So she says here about the law of attraction. A considerable part of the programming of the third dimension is the false belief that our power is accessed through placing our awareness on what is occurring. Mindfulness, right? As opposed to remembering that it is our sacred duty and responsibility to choose and attune to that which we, as godly beings, wish to experience. And what I said? What do you want from it? Not what is. What do you want from it? You go from what is to what you want. This is probably the number one spell that has been cast upon God's beautiful, sweet children of light. We must awaken from this spell immediately and use the power of our God-given imagination to place our awareness and somatic experience on the direct knowing that we are manifesting whatever it is that we wish to manifest, regardless of what is being presented to us on the third dimensional realm. So that means faith. Even though you can't see it yet, have faith that through your vibration, things are shifting by you holding the outcome that you desire, holding the feeling vibration that you desire. Can we agree we all want to feel free? We want to feel safe. sovereign, accountable, autonomous beings. And those who don't can live in another reality. But as awakening starseeds, that's what we want. Transparent accountability, living compassionately as heart-centered beings that respect our planet, respect each other, respect ourselves. It's a completely different system to what's existing at the moment. When this is fully understood, one has a breakthrough and becomes a master manifester. One of the most important aspects of working with the law of attraction is to become extremely mindful and vigilant over the words that we speak, as they are the spells that we cast. If you can become hyper-vigilant about the words that you speak and make sure to not put out negative spells continuously, this one act will cause a massive shift in your spiritual vibration and your relationship with the law of attraction. Find others that you can practice co-creating life with. Wouldn't it be nice if, what do we want out of this negative situation? Negative in our perception. You will start to notice when you go into one, and I have to accept I speak most passionately about things I don't want, the things that anger me. So I'm learning to turn that around and quickly nip it in the bud and turn it around. Literally in that moment go, this is not what I want to energize. Forgive me, higher self, help me to transmute this, and then turning it around. So that is our discipline, okay? So what is happening in the world today as I see it, and it reminds me of Food Inc., is we're trying to change the outcome, right? We're trying to change the end result without looking at the cause. We're so short-sighted in that respect. We can't remember last week's headlines. We forget so easily unless you've been keeping a record and seeing what's been going on and how the story's been playing out. And, you know, the way history's written, well, I did a whole lot about that in the last New Moon meditation, so you can check that out. But, you know, words are very powerful. So we need to look at the root cause rather than the symptom and be trying to change everything from the symptom. We're sick. Whatever the reason that things are the way they are right now is because we're going through a huge awakening. And yes, the name of the game is for as many of us to awaken as possible, as quickly as possible, critical mass. But that happens easiest when there's a tsunami of love, not a tsunami of fear going through. The detox is happening. The more we anchor love and trust and the higher frequencies, the more this planet will purge, as will every inhabitant on it, what is not love. And so long as we are able to transmute that, which is what we do when we're in a higher vibration, then rather than get stuck in it, we are going to have phenomenal results. I'm going to leave that there today. I welcome your comments. I welcome your feelings on this. I encourage you again to go to rosieglow.com, sign up to the Star Salutation practice. If you've used it before and then you've kind of fallen off on it, get back on it. It's powerful. And remember to check out the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, because that is for everybody. 3D, 4D, 5D is for all of us. It's there as a series of meditations that are going to seriously raise your vibration and move you out of that state of terror so that you can call in your higher consciousness and take inspired action from that place. Okay? Everything else I've said, you can come back to today. Please do join the mailing list, so then you'll open the emails, check your spam, check your promo, check your, you know, the different places it can end up. From rosieglow.com, and let us know what you're interested in. We'll give you lots of freebies. But as you know, energy is overwhelming at times. So knowing what to focus on, that's why I made this video. And I would love to get more of you now who are ready to step into your heart truth, to master manifesting in this physical reality whilst things are shifting, to come join me, join the Rosie Glow Mothership, and let's get going. Let's raise the frequency all together. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me. Please share this video with others who are in fear, who are awakening. Remind them of their duty, because you ain't helping anyone if you're in a state of fear and terror yourself. You've got to do the inner work, which usually means unplug, raise your frequency, and then reconnect before we can actually be effective agents of love in this world that's changing. Namaste.